Before you try to fix your whole life, stop and listen for a second, because this may be the part nobody told you. Maybe nothing is falling into place because your energy is scattered in too many directions. Maybe you are trying to build a future while your attention is trapped in people, noise, old pain, and constant reaction. Think about it. Every day you wake up and give your mind away before you even use it for yourself. You check who noticed you, who replied, who ignored you, who moved on, who is doing better. And then you wonder why your spirit feels weak before the day even begins. Stay with me, because this is where everything starts to turn. The moment you stop chasing eyes and start training your inner life, things begin to shift. Not overnight, not like magic, but deeply, strongly, quietly. When you stop explaining yourself to people who enjoy misunderstanding you, you save energy. When you stop reacting to every little thing, you save energy. When you stop trying to be seen by people who cannot help your future, you save energy. And once that energy comes back to you, your mind gets clearer, your body gets stronger, your choices get cleaner, and your life starts moving in a new direction. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming centered. It is about learning that silence is not empty. Silence is where power returns. And if you really hear what I am saying, the next part may change the way you move through every single day. The moment you stop explaining yourself, people begin to hear something deeper than words. They hear your silence. And most people never understand this until life forces them to. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not fear. Silence is not what happens when someone has nothing to say. Silence is what happens when someone finally learns that not everything deserves their voice. For too long, you may have spent your days trying to prove you are growing, trying to prove you have changed, trying to prove your heart is good, your dream is real, your effort matters. But real growth does not spend all day making announcements. A seed does not argue with the dirt. A mountain does not explain why it stands tall. A river does not beg for belief. It keeps moving, and one day even stone must make room for it. That is how real change works. Quiet, repeated, unshaken. The moment you focus on yourself, life stops being a stage and becomes a training ground. You stop waking up asking who is watching me, and you start asking a more serious question. Am I watching myself? Am I guarding my mind? Am I keeping my word? Am I living in a way that deserves the future I say I want? Listen closely, because this matters. Many people want the fruit before the roots are deep. They want respect before routine. They want results before discipline. They speak too early. They show too much. They let weak eyes touch strong plans. Then they wonder why doubt enters, why jealousy spreads, why distraction wins. Not everything needs to be shared while it is still becoming. Your attention is your life. Where your attention goes, your life slowly follows. If your attention stays on people's opinions, then your peace starts living in their hands. If your attention stays on comparison, then your joy becomes a prisoner. If your attention stays on the past, then your future keeps bowing to something that is already over. But when your attention returns to your breath, your habits, your body, your work, your thoughts, your choices, then something powerful happens. You stop feeling scattered, you become gathered, and a gathered person is hard to move, not because they are hard-hearted, but because they are no longer easy to control. Distracted people are easy to control. Reactive people are easy to control. Hungry egos are easy to control. But a quiet person who has turned inward and started building themselves becomes very difficult to shake. Praise does not lift them too high. Insults do not push them too low. Delay does not break their spirit. Rejection does not define their worth. They are no longer a leaf flying with every wind. They become the tree. And do not misunderstand this. Silence is not doing nothing. Real silence is full of work. It is waking up when your body wants to stay weak. It is training when nobody is filming. It is studying when nobody claps. It is healing without getting the apology you thought you needed. It is choosing peace when anger wants a performance. It is leaving the argument even when your pride is starving for the last word. That is real silence, sharp, clean, alive. And if you can build that kind of silence, you build a self that cannot be easily stolen by noise. Most people run from silence because silence tells the truth. Noise helps you escape. Noise gives you someone else to blame. Noise gives your mind endless movement, so you never have to ask the most important question of all. What am I doing with my own life? But when the room gets quiet, when the phone is down, when the conversation ends, when there is no crowd to impress and no easy distraction to hide behind, truth stands in front of you. And if you are brave, you do not run from it. You bow to it. You learn from it. You let it correct you. That is where your real path begins. Not when everyone understands you. Not when someone finally says sorry. Not when life gets soft and easy. It begins when you stop negotiating with your weakness. You say you want peace, but you keep feeding habits that create chaos. You say you want focus, but you let every message, every opinion, every mood, every memory enter your mind like it owns the place. You say you want respect, but you keep disrespecting your own time. You say you want a new life, but you keep carrying the same reactions into every new room. That is not fate. That is training. Bad training can be changed. Good training can be built. A trained mind notices anger without becoming anger. A trained mind notices fear without becoming fear. A trained mind notices loneliness without running into the wrong arms just to escape being alone. This is freedom, not getting everything you want. Real freedom is no longer being dragged by everything you feel. And if that line hits you, stay here because the next part goes even deeper. Focusing on yourself does not mean becoming selfish. It means becoming responsible. There is a huge difference. A selfish person uses other people to feed the emptiness inside them. A responsible person stops asking other people to carry work they were meant to do within themselves. When you focus on yourself, you stop demanding that the world give you discipline, confidence, peace, or clarity. You begin to build those things with your own choices. And once you start building them, your whole energy changes. You no longer need to win every conversation. You no longer need to correct every false opinion. You no longer need to chase people who keep choosing distance. You no longer need to explain your heart to those who are determined to read it wrong. Let them think what they think. Let them speak how they speak. Let them walk where they walk. Your path is not a courtroom. You do not need to defend yourself every day just because someone else is uncomfortable with your growth. The strongest version of you will not come from revenge. It will come from restraint. Revenge ties your spirit to the person who hurt you. Restraint cuts the rope and gives your energy back to the person you are becoming. That is why so many people stay trapped. They say, I will prove them wrong. I will show them. I will rise so they can watch. But even then, their movement still depends on somebody else. That is not freedom. Freedom is when they are no longer the reason you move. You move because your soul is tired of being delayed. You move because your body deserves strength. You move because your future deserves protection. You move because the younger version of you waited too long for somebody to finally take responsibility and lead. When you become quieter, some people will misunderstand you. Let them. Some will call you distant because they no longer have access to your reactions. Some will call you proud because you stopped shrinking to make them comfortable. Some will call you cold because you are no longer available for confusion, gossip, and drama. This is normal. When you change the pattern, the people who benefited from the old pattern often complain. Do not be shocked by that. A door does not apologize for closing when the room needs safety. Your silence will show you who respects your boundaries and who only respected your availability. Your focus will show you who truly supports your growth and who only enjoyed your confusion. Your peace will show you who brings calm and who brings storms. This is why focusing on yourself changes your circle without needing a speech. You do not have to make an announcement. You simply stop taking part in what weakens you, and the weak things begin to fall away on their own. But hear this part carefully, because this is where many people turn back. Falling away can feel like loss before it feels like freedom. Silence can feel lonely before it feels powerful. Discipline can feel boring before it becomes beautiful. Growth can feel invisible before it becomes undeniable. You may look around and think nothing is happening, but much is happening below the surface. Roots grow before flowers appear. Foundations are poured before houses are seen. Steel is heated before it becomes strong enough to carry weight. Do not insult your hidden season just because others cannot see what is being built. Some of your most sacred progress will happen in silence, in plain rooms, in ordinary mornings, in choices nobody claps for. Every morning, life gives you a gate. Most people walk through it half asleep and hand their mind away before they even remember they own it. They wake up and grab the phone. They feed themselves noise before they meet their own breath. They compare their life before they even stand up straight. Then they wonder why their chest feels heavy, why their thoughts feel crowded, why their focus disappears by noon. Do not start your day by surrendering your mind. Before the world enters, return to yourself. Sit, breathe, move your body, clean your space, drink water, read something that strengthens your thinking. Write down the one thing that truly matters, then begin it before the day gets noisy. This is not small advice. This is battle. The old self loves comfort. The old self loves delay. The old self says, start tomorrow. Start when you feel ready. Start when things are easier. Start when your mood improves. But readiness often wears the mask of wisdom while hiding fear underneath it. You become ready by moving before you feel ready. You become confident by acting while doubt still whispers. You become strong by lifting what feels heavy. You become peaceful by choosing peace while anger still burns in your chest. Perfect conditions do not make strong people. Hard conditions reveal who has trained. Anyone can appear calm when nothing tests them. Anyone can speak about patience when life is giving them what they want. But can you stay steady when the answer takes time? Can you stay honest when lying would be easier? Can you stay silent when your ego wants one more final line? That is the real test, not the test you post, the test you live in ordinary moments. Transformation rarely arrives like a loud explosion. Most lives change quietly, one better morning, one honest reflection, one disciplined hour, one message not sent, one old habit refused, one temptation survived, one boundary respected, one difficult task finished before the excuses had time to grow, one night of choosing rest instead of self-destruction. These things look small, but small things repeated become destiny. When you finally focus on yourself, you begin to see how much energy you were wasting. You were carrying arguments that ended months ago. You were rehearsing speeches for people who were not thinking about you. You were trying to be understood by people who enjoyed misunderstanding you. You were begging for approval from people who had not even made peace with themselves. You were watering dead branches and wondering why your tree looked tired. Cut the dead branches, not with anger, with clarity. Some people belong to your past. Some habits belong to your weaker season. Some places belong to a version of you that did not know better. Stop visiting what you are trying to outgrow. You cannot heal inside an environment that rewards your damage. You cannot become focused while welcoming every distraction. You cannot become quiet while being addicted to reaction. Choose. Choice is the blade. Every day you cut something away. You cut excuses. You cut fake urgency. You cut the need to be liked by everyone. You cut the habit of performing strength while avoiding the actual work. But do not cut your heart. Do not become bitter. Do not turn cruel. Become clear. Clarity does not scream. Clarity simply knows what belongs, what does not, when to speak, when to save the breath, when to help, and when helping has become self-abandonment. There is a kingdom inside you, whether you have cared for it or ignored it. Your thoughts are its messengers. Your habits are its workers. Your values are its laws. Your attention is its currency. Your body is its temple. Your breath is its gate. If you let fear, distraction, addiction, old wounds, random opinions, and the moods of other people rule this inner kingdom, do not be surprised when your life feels occupied. Return to the throne. That means you stop living like a guest in your own mind. You stop letting every feeling sit in the highest seat. You listen, but you do not obey everything. You feel, but you do not worship every emotion. You remember, but you do not let memory become a prison. You desire, but you do not sell your future for one quick moment of comfort. This is inner leadership, and once inner leadership grows, your outer life begins to change. Not because the world suddenly becomes softer, not because life is impressed by your silence. It changes because your choices become cleaner, your reactions become slower, your standards become higher, your time becomes protected, your words become fewer and stronger, your work becomes deeper, your presence becomes heavier. People can feel when you are no longer leaking energy. You have probably walked into a room before and felt someone's calm before they even spoke. That energy is not fake, it is earned. It is the result of someone training their nervous system not to worship chaos. It is the result of someone meeting themselves in silence again and again and refusing to run. You can become that person too, but not by pretending, not by copying the look of peace, only by doing the private work that gives peace real roots. And let us be honest, because honesty is where real rebuilding begins. Inner work is not always pretty. Sometimes it means admitting that in some patterns you were also part of the problem. Sometimes it means seeing that peace felt strange to you because you had grown used to chaos. Sometimes it means noticing that busyness was just another way to avoid emptiness. Sometimes it means admitting that you wanted the reward without the sacrifice, the outcome without the repetition, the dream without the discipline. This is not shame, this is awareness. And awareness is the first clean breath after a long mental sleep. Do not hate the old version of yourself for surviving with weak habits. That version carried you through what it knew how to survive. Respect it for that, then stop letting it lead. Survival is not the same as living. Survival reacts, living chooses. Survival clings, living creates. Survival fears silence. Living grows inside it. There will be a day when people notice you have changed. They will ask what happened. They will look for some hidden secret, some special trick, some fast answer. But the truth may be too simple for many people to accept. You stopped arguing with your potential. You stopped making pain your identity. You stopped waiting for rescue. You stopped telling everyone your next step. You stopped feeding what was secretly feeding on you. You got quieter, and in that quiet, you got serious. That word matters. Serious. Many people feel inspired, but very few become serious. Inspiration talks with fire. Seriousness practices when the fire is gone. Inspiration dreams at night. Seriousness gets up early. Inspiration makes promises. Seriousness keeps them. And the life you want will always respond more to seriousness than emotion. Be careful with talking too much about what you plan to do. Sometimes the mind tastes the reward before the work is finished. You speak the dream, people praise the idea, and your brain starts confusing attention with progress. That is dangerous. Announcing can become a substitute for action. Explaining can become a substitute for change. Planning can become a substitute for beginning. Silence removes that illusion. Silence asks one clean question. Did you do the work or not? No drama, no long story, no performance, no speech about how hard life has been, how difficult people were, how unfair the timing felt. Yes, pain is real. Yes, obstacles are real. Yes, some people break things inside you and never stay long enough to help repair them. But if your pain becomes the excuse that keeps you undisciplined, then the wound becomes your master. Pain may not be your fault. Healing is still your responsibility. Sit with that, because that sentence can either offend your ego or free your life. Focusing on yourself means taking back responsibility without taking on false blame. It means saying, I did not choose every storm, but I will choose how I build my shelter. I did not choose every wound, but I will choose whether I keep bleeding on my future. I did not choose every ending, but I will choose whether it makes me bitter or wiser. That is quiet power. Quiet power does not need to look powerful. It does not need to dominate the room. It does not need to embarrass other people. It does not need endless proof. Quiet power can leave without hatred, speak without shaking, work without applause, listen without losing itself, and rest without guilt. That is strength in its mature form. Most people are tired because their life is divided. One face for the world, one face online, one face with friends, one face when afraid, one face when alone. They spend so much energy protecting image that they have nothing left to build substance. Stop performing, build substance. Image needs constant attention. Substance grows through practice. Image begs to be noticed. Substance earns respect, and respect built on image is fragile. One rumor can shake it. One failure can break it. One season of silence can make people forget it. But respect built on substance is different. It is rooted in the way you carry pressure, the way you keep your word, the way you treat people when there is nothing to gain, the way you stand back up after disappointment, the way you control yourself when no one would know if you gave in. This kind of respect cannot be stolen easily because it was never borrowed from the crowd. That is why your deepest work must happen away from noise. The body heals in rest. The mind clears in stillness. Character is shaped by private choices. Spirit becomes sharp when it is not being constantly fed distraction. You do not need more noise. You need more depth. If you give shallow attention to everything, you will gain deep mastery of nothing. That is one of the sicknesses of this age. Everyone is touching everything and holding nothing. Everyone is speaking and very few are listening. Everyone is watching and very few are seeing. Everyone is busy and very few are becoming. Do not let that become your life. Choose depth. Choose 1 hour of real work over 10 hours of scattered effort. Choose one honest friend over a room full of empty praise. Choose one clear habit over 100 motivational lines. Choose the slow path if the slow path builds something real. Slow does not mean weak. Slow can mean rooted. Fast success often reveals weak foundations. People rise quickly and collapse quickly because their character did not grow at the same speed as their opportunity. So do not envy people just because they appear to move faster. You do not know what their structure can carry. Build yours. Strengthen the beams. Deepen the root. Clean the mind. Train the body. Refine the speech. Guard the eyes. Protect the ears. Teach the hands to do work that matters. Then when life puts weight on you, you will not fall apart under it. Silence also teaches timing, and timing is wisdom wearing patience. Not every truth must be spoken right away. Not every invitation deserves an answer right away. Not every emotion deserves action the moment it appears. Untrained people react because reaction feels powerful for a second. Trained people pause because they know one breath can save years of regret. Before you answer, breathe. Before you accuse, examine. Before you quit, rest. Before you chase, ask what fear is driving you. Before you post, ask what hunger inside you wants to be fed. Before you speak, ask if your words are medicine, poison, or just more noise. This small space between impulse and action is where your new life gets built. Do not miss that. In that space, you choose not to repeat the old pattern. In that space, you choose not to beg for love. In that space, you choose not to spend money to impress strangers while your future starves. In that space, you choose not to trade your peace for the cheap comfort of being noticed. And those choices, repeated quietly, begin to remake your whole identity. So if life feels out of place right now, maybe the answer is not more chasing. Maybe it is return. return to your mind, return to your breath, return to your body, return to your private standards, return to the work you keep postponing, return to the promises you made to yourself before the world got loud. You do not need to become someone fake. You do not need to become hard, cold, or distant from life. You need to become real, real in your habits, real in your boundaries, real in your effort, real in your healing, real in the way your outer life matches your inner values. This is how things begin to fall into place. Not because everything around you suddenly becomes perfect, but because everything inside you stops moving in 10 different directions. You stop leaking energy. You stop reacting to every shadow. You stop feeding every distraction. You stop living for the eyes of people who cannot build your future. And then slowly, power returns, focus returns, dignity returns. You become calmer, sharper, harder to shake, more difficult to manipulate, more honest with yourself, more serious about your life. And one day, the people who once overlooked you, doubted you, misunderstood you, or had access to every reaction will look again and feel the difference without you saying much at all. Not because you became louder, because you became deeper, not because you demanded attention, because you earned presence. So stay silent when silence is needed. Stay focused when noise tries to pull you away. Keep building when progress feels invisible. Keep choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. Keep becoming the person your future can trust. And remember this line, because it may be the line that stays with you long after this ends. When you finally stop giving your power to everything outside you, your life begins to answer to what is strongest within you.